Self-leadership and mindset call every Monday. And today's topic in the firefighter fitness community, reclaim firefighter fitness community, is the topic of forgiveness, right? We talk about the laws of reclaim. One that we haven't talked about in a while is going to be this idea of embrace forgiveness. But why do we even have this as an ideal in the first place? Right? Like, why is this one of the 10 laws of reclaim in a firefighter program as they come in here and we're talking about, like, embrace forgiveness? What the heck does that mean? Right? All of these laws have a purpose. That's the thing. These are the guiding posts for when we come up against struggles, strife, challenges inside your program. These are the things we can look back to. And 99% of the time, you find yourself coming up against a challenge, an issue, something that's trying to get in the way of what you want to do. I guarantee and I challenge you every time one of those happens is to go back and look at the laws and then ask yourself, which of these do I need to apply to the problem that I'm facing, or a way to think about this thing that I'm experiencing that can apply to this situation? And today we're just going to put extra emphasis into the reclaim law of embrace forgiveness. Okay, so what's that about? Right? One thing that I have noticed about the fire service, maybe you've noticed this too, when it comes to firefighters, is that we're really good at holding on to things. You ever met a firefighter that can hold on to some stuff? Yeah. Just maybe carry a grudge here or there. Sometimes for decades. Yeah. Like, and it might not even be towards each other, right? You carry the calls. You carry the stress. You carry the responsibility. You carry the expectations. And sometimes we carry things, man, like long after they've stopped being useful to us, right? I mean, there's one thing, it's like, hey, I'm hard on myself. I have high expectations. There is something that comes from this because I hold myself to a high standard and I actually make progress because of it. But also at the same time, sometimes we carry things long after they're useful, right? Like maybe it's a mistake that you made you ever made a mistake on a call and you knew it? You're really like, hey, I'm the one that screwed that up. Maybe it's a failed relationship. Maybe it's a conflict with one of your brothers or sisters, right? A version of ourselves that, hey, you ever show up on a call and you treated a patient not as well as you knew you should have? So today we're going to talk about, like, what does forgiveness look like? And not from like a religious perspective, not even from a philosophical one. Like, we're going to talk about it from a self-leadership perspective. Like, what role does forgiveness play in self-leadership? Because what we've seen, I think, is that many firefighters are not being held back per se by a lack of knowledge. They're being held back by something that they haven't let go of. So let's start with that, right? Why do you think we hold on to resentment? Why do you think people struggle to forgive one another, right? Why do you think people struggle even more to forgive themselves? Where does that come from, right? Whether it's pride, ego, identity, a sense of justice, fear of repeating mistakes, belief that, you know, if I remain guilty, then that'll keep me accountable. And I think in the fire service, like, unintentionally creates this problem because we are trained literally from day one to identify problems, identify mistakes, right? Every single fire you go to, there's probably a debrief where you talk about what went well, what didn't go well. And every one of the people in this room has probably been there when they're like, hey, so-and-so, you know, why'd you do that idiotic thing? Why'd you make that call? Why did you do fill in the blank? We're taught this way because we maintain a high standard for the sake of safety and for the sake of doing it better the next time. We're trained to critique performance. We're trained to find weaknesses and address them. We're trained to ask, what could we have done better? And that is valuable. It's a valuable skill. I'm not disagreeing that this is a valuable practice and that it can save lives. The problem is when you apply that same mindset to yourself 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. See, some of us will never leave the after action review. We'll never leave the debrief. They're still reviewing something that happened 5, 6, 7 years ago. still replaying a mistake, still replaying a conversation, still agonizing over a decision, still replaying a chapter that has already ended. Here's where we think about forgiveness in the sense of self leadership. Because accountability, which obviously we believe in here, is asking the question, what can I learn from this situation? However, that's very different from shame, right? Both are asking a question, but shame asks, what's wrong with me? Right? Do you realize the difference between what can I learn versus what's wrong with me? And those are two very different questions. See, the people that lead themselves, the firefighters that lead themselves, like they learn the lesson and then they move forward. But when we keep reopening the same wound, hoping it heals, at what point does accountability stop being productive? And at what point does it become self-punishment? So, one thing I've learned about this is that forgiveness is less about the past and it's more about learning how to be in the present. Like, and what do you think we mean by this? So I ask you, like, why should we embrace forgiveness for the sake of being in the present moment? When I say that, now I'm going to ask you, and I'll allow, some stuff here. I'll ask the question again. We talk about embrace forgiveness. And I'm making a statement that it can help you to be in the present moment. And why is that important? What comes to your mind? I'll let you speak up if you want to chime in here. This isn't rhetorical. What about forgiveness and embracing it allows you to be in the present moment? Well, Mike didn't like this question so much he went off camera.
I'm right here.
Not
I'm
you,
right
other
here.
one, other one, the other one, the
Oh.
other one. There's two mics in here. Sorry. What do we think? It's not a trick question. What comes to your mind?
Say it
I
one
will
more
sit
time.
here. Yeah,
One
go
more
ahead,
time.
Kim.
No, say it one more time.
What about embracing forgiveness helps you to stay in the present moment?
In all honesty, there was a call that almost totally screwed me up.
Mm,
And I never did forgive the individual on that call, and I will never will. I I I did forgive so I could move on, but it's like because if I keep holding on to it, it's going to crush me and crush my soul. So I can't forgive the action that he did, but I forgave him because I said he was incompetent. He did not know what he was doing. He should not have been in charge because otherwise that would have eaten me up and I would have been out of EMS and the fire service altogether. I would have been somebody that would have been crushed down a rabbit hole and I didn't want to do that. So I was able to look at past what he did because if I didn't forgive him, it was going to eat me up for the rest of my life. And I just, like I just said, in my mind, he was incompetent. And I talked to superiors and they stood by him and I was like, whatever. But you can't. I mean, it's like my life, I believe stress kills. And I'm not going to carry that stress with me because I don't want to die from somebody else's stress. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
do.
I want to live in the present and I try to be a happy person. Um, I try to turn things around and, make people understand that, you can't do that. You can't live that way. And because, do you want their stress or that to, kill you? So it's like, either forgive, move on so that you can. So
Mm. Yeah. So the key factor here, right? I think Kim answered it. What do we hear here? Well, if you have to forgive something, are you
You
ever going
can't
to
move on
forgive?
without it.
I'm sorry?
You can't move on without forgiveness.
You can't move on. And so there's a couple things here in Kim's story, right? Like, who is forgiveness for? Say, have to work on forgiving somebody else. Like, is that forgiveness really for them?
It's for both of you.
It's for both of you, but it's really like if you're the one that needs to do the forgiving, like it can be for them. It might help them to feel like, oh, thank God this person forgave me. But who's it really for? It's for the person practicing it, for the person who's hanging on to it, to unload that burden. Now, Kim also said something, and I guess the point I was saying, hey, how does it help you be in the present moment? Well, if you have to forgive something, it's for something that already happened, right? Are you going to forgive something for something that happened in the future, something that you don't know about, something that doesn't exist? But then you have to ask the question, where does the past exist? It exists here, right? What you're forgiving is a memory. So you say, hey, how does forgiveness stop you from being in the present moment? Well, if you are sitting there holding on to a moment that doesn't exist outside of your mind, well, then how does that impact your ability to be in the present? How much of you are you leaving in a moment that doesn't really exist outside of your brain? And is it stopping us from being totally present and enjoying the moment that is real, which is this one right here? Not the one that was a second ago, 10 seconds ago, and not 10 seconds from now, but this moment right now. Can I be totally present here? And then how does that reflect on the other things in my life and in leadership, right? One of the reasons forgiveness matters so much is because of what it does to your attention. You think as a firefighter that you can spare your attention? Your attention as a leader, whether you're an officer, whether you're a senior firefighter, or whether you lead from the bottom up, your attention is your most valuable resource. And so if there is a piece of you that is even a little bit locked in the past, what does that do in your ability to pay attention and to enjoy and to be present and to be aware of this moment, the one that's real, the one that's happening?
Robbie, can I add to that?
Of course you can, Kim.
I didn't finish, well, because I was so angry at this person for not having the knowledge and skills that he claimed to have, I made it a teachable thing after that. And I
Mm,
went back and said, we need to, here's how we can make sure this doesn't happen again. And I've done that on several occasions because it actually gave me inner peace knowing that I saw the problem, came up with a solution, and was able to, some people weren't into it. That's fine. You don't want to be part of it. That's sorry for you guys. But I made a teachable moment for those people that wanted to
mm,
move on and do it because that also helped me heal
mm.
from that incident. So,
Yeah. So we're talking about the difference, like, accountability versus living in it, right? Because it doesn't mean there's nothing to learn from the past. It means that if we obsess over it and stop us from being mindful, also if we let it dictate, you know, how we move going forward, every situation will be unique. The way that we move forward, if we're totally locked in, oh my God, I'm gonna make a decision like last time, it's gonna happen exactly like it did last time. Like, how do you know that? Right? This is like the person, anybody ever been this person that I'm going to use a very like rudimentary example, but you had a relationship at some point in your life and it didn't go well. And then, afterwards you don't trust the next person that comes along because of what the previous person did to you. Or like, well, why am I holding this different person, different life, different situation? And I'm saying, you're going to do this to me. I was like, this is a whole different thing. If I just took it based off of what was happening in front of me, would that story still be true? Or is there a piece of me that is holding on to something that happened in the past and I'm using that to reflect on and maybe even skew my perception? How does this apply to the fire ground? How does this apply to calls? How does this apply to fill in the blank? Can you see
You
a
don't
connection here? Because I can.
you don't want to repeat a mistake that happened before. You want to learn from it.
Yes, precisely. And so where's that fine line, right?
Very,
It's like,
very fine line.
it's a very fine line, isn't it? So think about how much energy people spend, firefighters spend, living somewhere else they physically aren't, right? Replaying old conversations, reliving failures, imagining alternative outcomes, thinking about what they should have said, what they should have done, what they had wished happened. And the problem is, like we already stated, that none of that exists outside of your mind. The past is gone and the future has not yet arrived. The only place where growth happens is the present moment, is the decisions you make right now, is the actions you take. The only place where action happens is right now. The only place where leadership happens is right now. Forgiveness is what allows, is a tool that allows us to stop looking backward long enough to move forward. And again, like Mike said, it's a fine line, right? Between when do I start holding on to something and when do I actually use it as a learning lesson, right? Like what Kim was talking about. We use this as an educational tool to help us so that this never happened again. Absolutely. The fire service has had to do a lot of that, hasn't it? And I hate to say it. Everybody probably understands this statement. Most of the time, things don't change until somebody dies. In a lot of ways, right? Policies, procedures. Where do we learn those from? Usually from things going wrong, right? So, okay. Where's that fine line? Where's the balance? How do we find it? So I think this is especially important in the fire service because firefighters are going to carry more than regular people. Whether it's a call that didn't go the way that you wanted it to, or a patient you couldn't save, mistakes you made when you didn't have the experience. Maybe it's a conflict with your coworkers or an officer, regrets that you had maybe from years of neglecting your health, since we're here in this community of firefighters working on their health and their fitness. Have you ever regretted not getting started sooner? I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of you. A recurring topic often for a lot of you and a lot of firefighters in general is just this idea and this notion. God, I wish I got just started just a little bit sooner. Gosh, I wish if I had just started like 5 years ago, if I had just, okay, but you didn't. You're here now in the moment that matters. Right? Maybe it's over a career decision. Maybe it's over that I should have studied harder for that promotion. I didn't get it because I missed the opportunity. I didn't take it seriously enough. And the culture in a lot of places, this will be department specific, but it teaches you to carry it, right? Tough it out, push through, don't talk about it, right? Suck it up, buttercup. But here's the truth. Carrying something forever doesn't make you stronger, just makes it heavier. I've seen firefighters spend years mentally reliving moments that happened a long time ago. Long time ago. The event that happened one time, they played it over 1,000. I've had to have people quit over things like this. Okay. Every replay pulls you further and further away from the life you're living right now. So let's talk about the self-leadership angle here. Because to me, forgiveness is one of the purest forms of self-leadership. Truly. Just say, hey, why is this a principle here? Why is this a thing that we emphasize? Well, because self-leadership is ultimately about directing your attention and your energy towards what you can control. Like, is that not what's a huge piece of self-leadership? We talk about this all the time, let me make peace with the things that I cannot have control over and take absolute responsibility and accountability over the things that I do. What don't you have control over? I don't get to control what kind of calls I go to. I don't get to control when the calls drop at 2 a.m. or as soon as your ass hits the seat to eat chow. I swear when I was on, it felt like they had a timer. The regulars, they had a camera in the kitchen and they were like, go, 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 go. They're eating, they're getting, call, call, call. Okay. That's a joke, obviously, right? But how many people treat it like that's true? like it's a personal attack. What do you actually have control over? What can you take responsibility for? And what is truly out of your control? And for the things that are truly out of your control, can you make peace with them? You don't get to decide the calls. You don't get to decide when they drop. You do get to decide the type of person you want to be when you show up. You do get to decide how you handle, how you respond to the situation. Self-leadership is about directing your attention and energy towards what you can actually control. So you can't control the past. As much as we would like to, you cannot control the past. You cannot change the mistake. You cannot undo the conversation. You cannot rewrite the chapter. You can only choose what you're going to do right now. You choose what you're going to do next. You see, self-leadership asks the question, what did I learn? What can I control? How do I move forward? Or do we stay trapped in the story? See, people who develop self-leadership, we understand that the lesson to learn, or we understand that when you learn the lesson and continue writing the next chapter, forgiveness doesn't erase accountability. It allows accountability to serve its purpose. How can I take the lesson along with or without like the self-torture? Right? When I make it personal, that's when we start to find the edge of that line Mike was referring to earlier. But how personal do I make this lesson? Is there something that I can genuinely use to understand myself, my team, my community, the people that I'm responsible for, the people that are in my charge better from it? Then great. Does it come at the cost of me making it personal? Personal to who? Personal to you. Do I treat it as a personal attack on myself? Well, now we're starting to get into what's the relationship that I have with myself. And you know the saying, right? We talk about, this is Tom's first meeting, but he hasn't gotten to this point. But the rest of you, we talk about, hey, meditation. Why don't people like to meditate? Anybody remember the saying? Why don't people like to meditate? People don't like to meditate because they can't stand the company. It's not my saying. I didn't come up with it. It's what I grew up with. But people don't like to meditate because they can't stand the company. Well, who's the company? Well, when you sit alone. You sit with you. But what lies behind the eyes when you close them down and you start looking inward? Sometimes there's a lot of mud on that mirror and we don't want to look at it. Okay. What do I do then? I admit I don't like what I see. Well, maybe you would if you just cleaned off the mirror a little bit. But that requires getting dirty. That requires doing a little bit of work. That requires putting a little elbow grease. Okay. So forgiveness doesn't erase accountability. It allows accountability to serve its true purpose. And so when we talk about one of the laws of reclaim being embrace forgiveness, it's not because forgiveness is easy. It's the opposite. It's not because the past didn't matter. And it's not because mistakes don't have consequences. But it's because carrying resentment, guilt, and shame forever does not make you stronger. Bottling it up does not make you stronger. It makes you stuck. Right? There's a difference between acknowledging that these things are present and being overwhelmed by them. But saying that it doesn't affect you at all or telling people to go get a job at Home Depot if they admit that they're struggling with something, that doesn't make you a tough guy either. Because this isn't about complaining or crying or whatever else people accuse others of in the fire service, it's about awareness. Say, hey, you can be aware of these things. It's okay. Just admit it. It's fine. But then you know what you do after is that you don't do nothing. You absolve to do something about it. Right? So carrying resentment, guilt, and shame forever does not make you stronger. It makes you stuck. And the goal isn't to forget the past. I think Kim said something really interesting earlier. She basically said, I didn't forgive him. I forgave what he did, something along those lines, Kim. And another way to say that is like she didn't forget. She forgave because it was something she didn't want to hold on to. She didn't want to stay stuck and obsessed over that situation. But she's like, but I didn't forget. I'm not asking you to forget. You don't have to forget. Remember, right? That's where learning happens. But there is a difference between forgetting and forgiving. To let go, to be at peace. And what does it mean to let go and to forgive? It means to accept that it happened and to be at peace with it. That is forgiveness. Being at peace with whatever it is that has happened. You don't have to like it. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to forget it. You have to accept it. You have to accept it and be at peace with it. They talk about like the 5 stages of grief, right? What's the last one? What's the last stage of grief?
Acceptance.
Acceptance. The last stage of grief is acceptance. Sometimes when you have to forgive, you think that's interwoven with the 5 stages of grief. Like, hey, I got to go through this anger, denial, bargaining, sadness, and acceptance, right? I think it's those. Not in the order. I didn't say it in the right order. But the last one is acceptance, right? When you go through all those stages and they don't just go one to the other, go, oh, okay, denial, anger, this nice linear path. You probably bounce around between all of them until you finally arrive at acceptance. Yeah. And what is acceptance? Again, it's going through all of that. It's being at peace with and accepting what has happened. You can hate what happened, but I accept it. Accept that it did. You ever have something horrible happen and you just like, your first instinct is, this can't be happening. This can't be happening. This can't be happening. Probably more in your personal life, right? Something that's really bad. You're just say, hey, oh my gosh, probably can't really afford the denial factor on the scene of a fire ground, right? A little bit more faster acceptance of circumstances. So I guess that's a good analogy, isn't it? How fast do you move from changing circumstances into acceptance, into action on the fire ground? Probably after a while, pretty damn fast, huh? Because you have to. Like, there's no time for denial. There's no time for holding on to. There's no time for, I'm really stuck on my plan A. I want this to work. You talk about adaptability. What if you could apply that same skill set to how you forget? All right, go get them, brother. I'll see you on the big one. So what if you could apply that concept, right? How fast can you go through those stages and arrive at acceptance? And wouldn't it be amazing if you could like speed up that process over time? If you could speed up the process from anger, resentment, sadness, depression, denial, bargaining, and move into acceptance? Like you did on the fire ground, like you do. So, oh crap. All right. Well, changing conditions happen real fast. Had partial roof collapse. All of a sudden, my whole game plan is different. I'm stuck on the 2nd floor. I got to bail out the window. All right. Well, I better make that decision and accept that it's happening pretty quickly or I won't be able to act, right? And that's a skill set that right, wrong, and different firefighters have developed because they have to. Now, here's the point I'll always make is that you have a skill already, since you're in this room, that 99% of the population will never have. Your ability to adapt quickly to accept changing circumstances. So now all I'm challenging you to do is to apply that in a different area of your life. That concept that you have your ability to change quickly on the fire ground, the scene of a messy medical, what if we could apply this in other areas of our lives? Wouldn't that be interesting? Wouldn't it be interesting if I could adapt that quickly, if I could accept that things changed that quickly and then just act in accordance with it instead of getting hung up on it, instead of getting distracted by it, instead of getting angry over it? You see that partial roof collapse that traps you on the second floor and causes you to bail out the window? Do you spend time being angry at the roof? Maybe for a second. God damn it, you son of a bitch. Like, okay. But you got to move through it pretty quick. What determines your success? It's how quickly you can adapt, how quickly you can change your approach, change what you're doing. Are you seeing a connection here that I'm drawing towards like, hey, how can I embrace forgiveness towards like situations, people, things that happen? And do we think that it would be beneficial that if I can move through that process faster and get to acceptance, that it might actually benefit my life? See, forgiveness isn't easy. It doesn't mean the past didn't matter. It doesn't mean there's not consequences. We just don't want to stay stuck, right? You just say, I'm stuck, I can't move, I've been stuck, I'm spinning my wheels, I'm stuck. But you know what the answer to being stuck is? Take a step. Start moving. Oh, I'm stuck. Okay, start walking. Get your feet out of the mud. This is not to forget. It's not to pretend it never happened. The goal is to learn the lesson, take ownership where necessary, and extend grace where necessary to return your attention to the present moment. How fast can I get to acceptance? Being present is accepting the moment in front of you, being aware of it, being mindful of it, because that's where your life is actually happening. That's where your relationships are happening. The magic is right now. The good old times are right now. These are the good old days, ladies and gentlemen. It's right now. Say, oh, it used to be the good old days. Those don't exist. Here, they exist. What's happening here, this, is the only real thing. How do you be present? Today is the good old days. Right now. Okay. Well, if I can acknowledge that and if I can accept that right now is the good old days, well, then I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And also, if I can accept that right now is the good old days, then man, I better make sure I'm doing everything I can to enjoy it, right? If I got anything that's keeping me locked in the past and out of this moment, when this right here is the good old days, right now, this moment is the one that matters. Well, if I treated it like that, then man, I better make damn sure that I'm doing absolutely everything in my power to stay here, to not be pulled away. Because that's where life is happening. That's where your relationships are happening, and that is where your growth is happening. And that is where the person you're trying to become is going to be built, is right now. One brick at a time, one step down the path, just off in the horizon. What do they say? The journey of 1,000,000 miles begins with one step. That journey happens one step at a time, and those moments all happen one moment at a time. Each one of those moments are the things that matter. The one that you're in right now. So I ask you a question before we end the conversation, which is, with everything that we've said today, what is the one thing that you can be ready to stop carrying with you? If I could just let it go, what would it be? Don't answer. Answer it to yourself. You don't have to share, but what would it be? What's the thing that is keeping you out of the moment that you're in right now? What keeps coming back? Spend some time thinking about that and then honestly ask, You know, so much of the transformation in this program, has anybody noticed? We got some people now that have been here for quite a long time. I'm looking at Julia. She's been here for like over a year. Like, so often, most of the time in this program, like, have you noticed that it hasn't been necessarily about adding more to your life and that it's usually been about letting go of the things that were already holding you back? It's about trimming away. Like, yeah, you've learned new habits. Yes, you've done these things. Yes, you've learned new things. But I think if you really thought about it, you had to let go of a lot more than what you added to make the progress that you have. You say talk again back on this topic of meditation. It's about what falls away. You say, I want to get meditation because I want all to have all of these things. Well, to have them, you have to learn to let go. The whole topic of the conversation today has been about forgiveness, but another way of saying that is, what is my ability to let go? Why is embrace forgiveness one of the laws of reclaim? Because the things that will stop you from moving forward are what are sometimes the things that you are trailing behind you. So, hey, I want to take 5 steps forward, but I have this ball and chain connected behind me, this weight, this heaviness. It's causing me to drag my feet. Well, then disconnect the chain. Right? It's behind you because it's in the past. If it's stopping you from moving forward, then why are you carrying it? So I'll ask you one more time. What is the one thing you're ready to stop carrying? And can you learn to accept it, to move on without it? That's all I have for you guys today. Let's get into some wins. But before I do, I don't know if anybody's got any commentary, anything they want to add, any questions that they have, anything like that. No pressure, but I do like to leave this section open for any kind of commentary or anything like that. Anybody that wants to chime in.
I actually want to bring something up to the group looking for advice because I'm
Please.
dealing with a topic right now.
Yeah, Mike, please.
Where I work full time, it's my job, it's my profession. Someone from my volunteer fire department was hired on there. I knew from the day he was hired that he was not going to last. And sure enough, within 3 months, he quit showing up to work. He gave a bullshit answer of he had a call that was triggered by a bad event that he had related to a call at his fire department, and he resigned. What I'm carrying with is, because I'm on the same fire department, I know it was a bullshit answer. It was an excuse. He's never followed through with anything in his life, and I cannot trust him going into a fire or wherever. I don't trust him, and I've been carrying this for over a year. I know, listening today, I got to let it go, but I also got to see him at my fire department where I respond on a day-to-day basis. So what's the best way to deal with that?
Yeah, and absolutely, it's a great question, a great example. Thank you for sharing. And I would love to hear what we think from the group. Right? This is a very specific situation. So what do we think? We have people here who are officers. We have people here who are not. What's the take on this?
He claims that there was a call that triggered him that has set him up for not doing what he's supposed to do. Is that what I heard, Mike?
He had a call. I work for Mayo Clinic Ambulance, and so he had a call while he was on shift that triggered a memory from a call that he had back at our fire department. He was using that as his excuse to basically quit. I know what calls we have at a department. There's been no calls that I know that he's been on that he's referencing. So it was just another BS answer excuse. And I'm just frustrated that he's never held a job more than 6 months. He keeps running back to mom and dad's business when things don't work out with what he wants to do. And he's just undependable, unreliable. And if I'm ever in a situation in responding on my department where he shows up, I can't trust him. And that's what I'm dealing with.
Do you in your department, uh, just hear me out for a second, have like, any like, not peer support, but like, do you guys have any like counseling or anything like that? Because maybe in his mind, he thought it was a call that he was with your department. It sounds like he might have a little, I don't want to say PTSD because that term gets used way too much, but maybe there was something. I'm just, I'm trying to give the guy a benefit of doubt, but maybe there was something that triggered and he's getting his dates and his facts made up and he needs to talk to somebody like in HR or somebody like that. But also, I mean, trust is very, very important. And if you can't trust them in your department, I mean, that's obviously something that the leadership of your department should be made aware of because you don't, want to have him in a situation where he's going to cause harm to the crew or anyone else. So, my department people get mad and I'm like, I'm not tattling. I'm looking out for the other members of the department because as the health and safety officer, I need to make sure everybody is fit, everybody is able to do their job. And if I have any concerns, I go right to the chief. He and I dialogue all the time. And we've, pulled people off the line, gotten them the help they needed. Because too many years ago, we didn't do that. We didn't understand that this guy was triggered by that event. And sometimes those little things over time, that you may not be aware of, all of a sudden the person snaps. And I'm not saying the kid might not be a mommy, daddy, run back and I can't do anything, but it sounds like a couple different things. It's hard because I don't know all the details.
There's some politics there too. We're a small, rural, 100% volunteer department. His mom is also on the department. He's had a few meetings with leadership because of non-compliance with fulfilling scheduled trainings and stuff like that, where he's been put on notice where, you need to pick things up or else, you're going to be terminated. And so there's the rebound effect where he starts showing up again for 3-4 months and then he starts kind of, falling back into what's comfortable for him. And so I think there's also not a rush to do anything just because his mom is on the department in good standing also. And it's to me, it's a mess, but
So let's
bottom line,
oh,
he's
go
on the
ahead, Mike.
department. He's on the department. I'm on a department. I'm taking a year's leave for my school and I'm coming back in September. And, when I start responding and showing up, if he's there, I need to let this go. But what is the best way to deal with it when he is there? Because like I said, I don't trust him.
Yeah. So let's rephrase the question, right? Um, Mike, I think the real question here isn't like it sounds like there's some realization. You're like, I need to let this go. I'm kind of like anguishing over this. I'm frustrated over it, right? Justifiably frustrated, because of the standards that you hold for yourself. And I think the real thing is not so much as there's an answer as you need to ask yourself some questions, right? There's this, you just said this is political, this is personal. Like I have context, I have these other things going on. So the real thing here is just two questions. What do I have control over? What do I not have control over? Can I make peace with what I do not have control over? And can I take complete ownership over what I do? And when it comes to other people, this is one of the hardest things, right? But do you have control over him or the decisions that he's going to make? I'm not telling you to do nothing. I'm saying when we get frustrated, like with other people or with situations, you see firefighters that get frustrated over the people that are calling for the calls that drop, for this person calling for this thing. Like, hey, they're going to do that anyways, aren't they? This guy, you said he's had a pattern of, hey, he's never held the job down for 6 months. All right. He's going to probably keep doing that, right? Until something changes. So you know this. He's going to continue to act this way. There's a really good book out there. I can't remember, or it's a good book or a talk, but it's just 2 words. Let them. Just let them. So let it go and let them. Okay. I'm going to do what I have to do based off my principles, my standards, what I have control over, including if you got to do something at your department, like Kim is saying, that's under your control. I'm not going to tell you to do that or not do that, but that is something that's under your control, right? What you can't hold on to is the fact that he has this behavior, that he's going to continue to act this way, and that he's not living up to the standard of being a firefighter at your fire department. He's going to continue to do that until he decides to change. So my advice, right, because that's all it is, my perspective, that's all I'm giving. I'm not telling you what to do. My perspective is ask yourself those 2 questions. What do I have control over? What don't I have control over? And what can I do with each of those pieces of information, right? Can I come to peace and to terms with what I do not have control over? Can I take complete ownership and a responsibility and acceptance over what I do? And then I'll add a third piece, which is in this situation, back to the beginning of the call, I'll challenge you to go and look at the 10 laws of reclaim. I sent them to you in a message on school as a reminder. Go through and ask yourself, which of these laws apply to the situation that I'm facing right now, and how can I use them to help me move through it? And then, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to hear what your response is. Not right this second, but when you look them over later today, let me know how you can apply that to your situation. Would you do that for me?
I will do that. I appreciate everybody's time and listening on this. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing it to the table. All right, we got 5 minutes left, so I'm just going to run through these wins really quick. Let's talk. We got Kim, got it in early, allowed recovery, didn't feel guilty. Great. Kim didn't do the 10,000 steps, actually took a nap. Sometimes that's what prioritizing yourself looks like, Kim. You know, you've been so consistent and made so much progress. I'd say you deserve a nap every now and again. So nice work, lady. This is actually part of the process. You don't have to be perfect. Mike L, we got a busy week. Okay to not, that seems to be the theme of the day. Yes, you're right. It's okay to complete everything all of the time. Consistency is what matters. Tomorrow is always a new day with a fresh start. Yes, sir. We got Kurt. I don't think he's on the call here. He just signed up today, actually. So made it through a 96-hour shift. Wow, this guy got off a 96 and then signed up for this program. Cool, cool, cool. Excellent. Then we have Natasha. Has been recovering for a week. Yeah, she's been sick. She's been sick. And by the way, she's doing this fundraising initiative with me to build these homes in Mexico. And she decided to spend her time by just like getting a bunch of donations. So she's sick and she said, okay, I'm gonna do something productive. And she roped in I don't know how many she got, but it was like, you had like 10 donations there, Natasha. Really nice work. And we're going to talk about how to optimize for the rest of this tomorrow. Able to do a workout yesterday, took it slow. Good. Getting the steps back. Good. So, yep, recover, come back stronger later. You're doing the right thing. Mike McClure, who's not here, I had to run and take a call, but essentially he said he had a huge live fire evolution for 3 hours. Did all of it, and it took him a few hours to recover before the program. He would have been done for the rest of the day. Let's go. Gail, nice to see you, brother. Currently on a short 10-day break from the short staffing and overtime at work, taking advantage of the warm weather, getting some quality time with the wife, also enjoying the time remaining with the pup. Oh, man, that's a cute dog, man. That's the best summer you can. That's a beautiful dog, brother. Great. What kind of dog is that? Gail, man, hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on. I haven't seen your face in a minute, man.
What's up, dude?
You're looking slim. You've been off camera.
Yeah, I know.
Wow. How much weight are you down?
I'm kind of just maintaining at the lower end. I'm definitely down like 20 plus pounds,
Wow.
But I'm like kind of like hovering like just above my goal,
Okay. What's how far away?
Like 3 pounds, 3 or 4,
Okay. Have you been working with Angie on this? Because I'm sure we can get you down those next 3, 4. Or do you just kind of okay with it?
Yeah, I kind of feel like, I kind of feel happy where I am right now.
Okay.
It's like a slow, steady,
Yeah.
like, I just, like feel good in the gym, feel good at work. I mean, as much as they'll let me with the, the overtime and the short staffing that everybody's probably dealing with, but,
Summertime.
yeah, man,
Yeah.
life's good. Life's good, and,
Yeah.
the dog is a rescue. We never figured out exactly what he is. He's like a white shepherd mixed with like a lab.
He's
Um,
beautiful.
but he takes a lot of naps,
Yeah.
and he gets out, and then he's a local celebrity when we take him places. Everybody wants to come up and pet him. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just enjoying life as much as I can outside of work, and trying to enjoy work too. So
Yeah. Awesome,
yeah,
man. That's good to see you, dude. I'm glad to keep seeing you on these calls. You keep
yeah,
coming back. Don't be a stranger, man.
right on, man.
Right. Yeah.
I'll be here when I can.
I know. Great work. Thank you. Angie's not here. I know she's in class, but she's got a big win. Wow. Okay. She did a hit workout at work consisting of 100 push-ups, 100 mountain climbers, 100 air squats, 100 push-ups. Oh, up downs, 100 up downs, push-ups, jumping jacks, sit-ups, and a mile run. And completed it all in 36 minutes. If you ever wondered if your coaches walked the talk, okay, just to be clear, if you ever wondered, and completed the mile run after all of that in 9 minutes. So never done this before. Holy crap. That is impressive. I wish she was here to hear that. But yeah, coaches out here doing the work just like everybody else. All right. And then Dave, we got been sick for almost 2 weeks. I have sickness going around the country, huh? Been a struggle with the wind is making it back here. Glad to have you back, man. Glad you're on the call. Glad you're feeling better. So great work, everybody. Again, if you guys want to keep commenting on the wins or anything like that, let us know. And as far as these talks go, I will be letting you guys know if there are any changes of this call in the next couple weeks. Next 3-4 weeks, I might have to change a couple of them, but I'll keep you guys posted in the group over if there's any call changes. So keep your ear to the ground for that. Other than that, I want to leave it open for any questions. Anybody got anything before we close out? Tom, again, welcome. Hope you enjoyed your first Monday call with me. Throughout the rest of the week, I'm sure you see the calendar. We got different topics, different things, different areas that you can lean into. And I also do an open coaching for Elite on Fridays at the same time. So if you have any questions, just let us know, brother. Cool. Anything from anybody else? Good? Cool. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time today, and we will see you on the next one. Until then.